before you watch this, I want to quickly say that most people underutilize LinkedIn. They don't understand the power of LinkedIn and how to leverage LinkedIn to get jobs. I have built an ultimate course. It's going to teach you everything from optimizing your profile, getting sourced by a recruiter on LinkedIn. There are live examples, and also how to use LinkedIn and leverage LinkedIn to create the job opportunity that didn't even exist. You didn't even know that it existed. Let me give you a quick sneak peek, and I will tell you that more than 350 students have joined this course and they are loving it. And you can see everything from setting your profile, networking, search techniques, job hunting technique, and like live examples where I'm actually reaching out to people and doing cold networking, etc. You'll also get free plugin, premium plugin for H1B and OPT and all of that. So I highly recommend you check out. Link will be in the description. All right. Okay. Sorry, I didn't know how that was gonna be, but thank you everybody for joining. Rajiv ji is here. For those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Yuri, and we try to do this we will try to do this every Wednesday and also every other Thursday. So starting tomorrow, every other Thursday, we will be doing this as well. Rajiv ji is a US immigration lawyer, and we will try to answer any immigration questions you have. Rajiv ji, I want to start with Trump is going to be back next week. He's going to start next week. What to expect? Anything to look out for? I mean, maybe that's where I want to start, and then we can go from there.
They have been playing their cards really close to the chest. So nobody really knows for sure what's going to happen. All kinds of pundits are sitting there and making all their guesses. Who knows? But I have said this many times before that there is a limit to how much he can do. He does not have infinite power that he can rewrite the entire body of laws of the United States or the Constitution of the United States or even the regulations. The only thing he can change is policy, and policy can be quite damaging as well. I don't undersell policy, but policy has its limitations. You can only change so many things with policy. So the idea is, think about it this way, that if you're a techie, you create a system design and you code. Now, when you code, there's only that much flexibility you have in how you code. You can write an algorithm to do the same thing in 3 different ways, but ultimately it has to do the thing you want it to do, right? So it's like that. Policy is actually even granularly, it's even more restrictive than coding, because even in coding, you have these 3 algorithms you could use. But in policy making, you can think of it as documentation, maybe. It's really that difficult. But the reason it can be powerful is because it is user-facing. It impacts you. So if you write bad documentation, you could have the best system in the world, and it will be difficult to use. That's kind of the way it works. To take a rough analogy. We don't really know what's going to happen. But what the Biden administration did was they rewrote some of the regulations, and the regulations basically codified what was policy just before President Biden was about to leave. So they've just codified the policy into a regulation. Can the regulation be changed? Sure. But there's a process for it. You can't just, with a stroke of pen, change it.
Yeah.
What we have been hearing is that Trump administration has been preparing 300 executive orders. Oh, God knows what they're going to do with it.
I saw that as well, and there are a bunch of news channel making prediction. Essentially, they don't know that, but they are making predictions, and so many media houses like jumping on this and saying like, "Oh, it's going to be horrible for international students," and this, and I'm like, where does it say that?
Well, we'll see. There are educated people in this administration. They are not all uneducated, or not all educated behind firewalls where we don't know what their grades are.
And I don't know if you saw that or not, but Trump in the funeral, Trump was with Obama, and they were like having good time. At least that's what it looked like.
I don't know, Yudi. I have a very dear friend who just retired recently, He he was a director level person with one of the government contractors, and a Democrat all his life. And he said to me, and this is, I think, kind of the general sentiment as well, that if we have chosen him, we deserve him. So, so he says it's going to take 30 years to fix what he does this time around in these 4 years.
Interesting.
And I say, you know what, we'll see. You never know. I can still hope that there'll be some sanity, and things that Democrats couldn't do, maybe Republicans can. For example, comprehensive immigration reform. And if they are reasonable, they can actually get it done because they are powerful in both houses, in both chambers, and they have the White House.
Sorry, going back to the executive orders, the extent of that could be just like what could be something that could really impact.
I'll give you an example. So let's take the example of H1s. A lot of people can relate to that. In H1s, the regulations require that you have to prove that you have a job.
Yeah.
You can't just file an H1B without a job. How tough and strict you want to be is a matter of policy. Okay? If policy says, look, a statement from the employer is enough, we have a job. That's policy. Or they could say, no, wait, if you want to prove that you have a job, we need actually a contract between you and the end client, and we need a letter from the end client saying this, this, and this. So they can make things quite tough in execution. But these are all fringe elements. They don't have this much discretion in everything. What could they do in student visas? For example, if they wanted to take away optional practical training, could they do that? They'll have to promulgate regulations for that. It can't be done with the stroke of a pen. It's not policy. If it is in the regulations, then it cannot be taken away by policy.
Got it. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, we will be live next week. So if anything that happens, I think it's Monday. So, and if it's urgent, we might jump on it. But
yeah, just call me. I should be all right. We can always jump up and see what happens. Yeah. I'll have time to probably 4:30 same time. Yeah. So that I'll have enough time to see if there's an order.
A drastic order. Yeah. Cool. All right. Let's get party started with Q&A. My current employer filed my PERM for a future position and the prevailing wage for the future role, which is much higher than my current salary. Will that be an issue? I am an Indian citizen.
So the short answer to that is, if the employer has enough money to pay you your salary as reflected in their tax returns, the higher salary, you'll be fine. So this is a very common situation. We run into this all the time. So the idea is, I'm right now a software developer. Okay. I know that by the time I get my green card, it will be 10 years. So when I file a PERM application, I don't file for software developer. I file for what I will be in 10 years. Okay. And let's say it's a systems manager. That job is paying 200,000. I am on H1B getting 150,000. There's a difference of 50,000. Is that a problem? No. As long as the employer has the money to show that he's got the 50,000, or the company has the extra 50,000, there should be no problem. And that money has to be reflected. It doesn't have to be paid to you. They just have to have it in their pocket. And it has to be there each year till you actually get your green card.
Okay. I was impacted by layoffs, have 50 days left. Should I file change of status from F1 STEM OPT to B1, B2 or F2 to save my unemployment days? Also, is the reverse change of status viable?
What does it mean? Save my... being on F2 doesn't save any days for you. Unemployment days. See, if you go from STEM OPT to B1 or STEM OPT to F2, you no longer have you are done with STEM OPT. You can't jump back to STEM OPT. So once you change status out of student status to F1 or B1, B2, your OPT is gone. If you were on H1B, you could jump back to H1B, but not on OPT. It's a one-way street.
Okay. And then he says more context. 2 H1B tries done, one left, currently on F1 STEM OPT.
Yeah.
Okay. What are the options after STEM OPT expires and only one chance left for H1B? Day 1 CPT, what else?
Cap exempt H1B is another option. Some people might have an option for O1 if their resumes are suitable for that.
That's what I was going to go. I spoke to someone, like I was doing a podcast with them, and they got O1. And yeah, again, like that is another path which I was going to ask you, but you already mentioned it. So
yeah, but it's not for everyone. O1s, unfortunately, O1's national interest waivers EB1A and EB1B are extremely uncertain. It has nothing to do with intelligence. It has nothing to do with cleverness. I could be the smartest person in town. There's no way to predict what the government is going to do. And I've been thinking about this. Actually, I was thinking, if somebody asks me, how would you fix O1As and EB1As and national interest waivers? I don't think I have an answer to this. All I can do is I can make sure that people who are deciding these cases are very well trained on the law and the legal principles. But ultimately, it'll have to be a judgment call.
Yeah. Okay, I'm entering US after January 20th. I came for my winter vacation. Will I face any issue in immigration?
Well, I think you'll have a heightened, possibly a heightened scrutiny. They might want to know more about your maintenance of status, etc. But other than that, why should there be an issue? If there's going to be a Muslim ban, first of all, that ban is not based upon religion. That's based upon the country that you're coming from. So the so-called Muslim ban didn't ban Muslims. It banned people from certain countries.
Yeah. Yep. Is there any changes or will happen in marriage-based green card?
I think that's the most difficult one to attack, Mr. Mahmood. I think that's the most difficult one. If anything, the green card categories that were the most susceptible under family-based green cards was trying to apply for your siblings, brothers or sisters, if you're a US citizen, or parents. Those were the two categories that were under the gun the last time around. But to change those categories, you have to get approval from Congress. It's not something you can do overnight.
Yeah.
And you'll have plenty of warning. It's not going to happen like one day you have it and the other day you don't.
And they can revoke green cards, existing ones?
No. They cannot retroactively change the laws. Think about it this way. You have been told that speed limit is 55 miles an hour, 55. Okay. And you have driven like that for 5 years. And then Trump comes and says, no, that is illegal. The speed limit should be 20 miles an hour. You've been driving 35 miles over the speed limit. That's ridiculous, right? Because when you obey the law and you keep obeying the law to a certain extent, nobody can take away that benefit retroactively.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. Like your simplicity in explanation, explaining situation, I want to know your thoughts on the current boom on EB1A application. How do you feel it'll go from here in terms of timeline and stringency?
Well, I think people are filing EB1A applications relatively nonchalantly, just filing it without even thinking about whether I have a case or not. Some people are getting through simply because it is the nature of large administrations. When you have a huge number of applications, some of them are going to slip through. And what I find pretty amusing is that people who have received an EB1A successfully think that now they have become masters of EB1A. Okay. So with the result, and I have seen applications that are scary bad. They're just so bad, and yet they got approved. And I've seen applications in our own office. Some of our best applications are being challenged, and we are sweating blood trying to get them approved. So first of all, it is the nature of EB1A to be uncertain, also NIW, also O1As. What do I think about it? Look, if I'm desperate and I don't want to wait 15 years for my green card, I'll try anything. As long as it is legal, why shouldn't I try it? So by all means, try it. Why not?
Yeah. What would be the impact on people who are in I-145, I-485 stage with the proposed changes?
Well, so remember, in employment-based cases, before Trump came the first time, there never used to be any interviews. There were no 485 interviews.
Interesting.
Okay? Yeah. 485 interviews were the exception, not the norm. There were only two circumstances under which you had an interview. One, if there was something hinky about the background, for example, the employer was subject to some investigation or some sort of problem.
Yeah.
Or one of your ex-employers had a problem. Otherwise, I can't get this right. This,
the glare.
Reflection.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually changed the one of the light bulbs, and it's just too strong. It's just kind of getting into my eyes. Okay, so either your employer had some kind of issue, you had some kind of an issue, or there was a quality check. Randomly, they'll just do every 28th application. Okay. Then came Trump, and he said, oh, no, we want to interview every application, every applicant, even employment-based ones. So they created a tremendous backlog, because being interviewed at the local office can mean an extra 1 to 3 years waiting time for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Fortunately, you have AC-21 and you can keep changing jobs, but it's still not as good as having a green card in your pocket, right? So they can cause tremendous delays. That is one of the major problematic power buttons they have. They can slow things down. So they can create an invisible wall against immigration. That's something they can do very easily. That's a policy thing.
Interesting. Okay. My wife got her H4 visa stamp recently in India, and she's looking for master's program in United States and want to go with F1 route. Is it better to come to United States with H4 and then change the status here, or is it better to get F1 visa and enter the USA? What will be the process?
I don't have any particular preference. I would say that if you already have an H4 visa stamp, come on in and file for a change of status. Because ultimately it all evens out. So let's say the only advantage of getting an F1 visa before you come in is that you have security in going in and out, right? Because you have an F1 visa stamp already. But what if you came in on H4, converted to F1, then you traveled and you had a problem getting a visa stamp for F1? You can still come back on H4. So therefore, I don't see it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. It's about the same thing. I'm not sure I have any particular preference. I think it's nice to get an F1 visa in the first instance. But if you don't get it and if it's too cumbersome, then just come on H4 and do a change of status.
Okay. Have been waiting for H4 EAD for now 11 months with Nebraska Service Center. What can I do, as it's already 4 months more than the stated processing time?
So, Advaitji, the problem is, other than litigation, I can't think of anything. One more thing you can do, sorry. You can actually open a case with the Ombudsman's office. Yudi, if I type something in the chat, can you see it?
Yeah.
Can you see Ombudsman?
Yeah.
So they just need to just Google USCIS Ombudsman's office and open a ticket with them. If they are 4 months over the time limit, you can just open, Office of the Ombudsman. You can, no, wait, that's California Department of Corrections. Say USCIS Office of Ombudsman. Just say USCIS. Yep, that's it.
Okay.
Okay. So Ombudsman in Hindi is called Lokpal. So they are a watchdog, and you can file a complaint here.
And so complaint case assistance.
So just Google complaint USCIS Ombudsman.
Okay, got it.
And you'll come to the place where you need to be. Yep.
Is it this one?
Feedback? No, this is misconduct. Go up. How about case assistance? There it is. How to submit a case assistance request. That's it.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So it looks like it is.
Why do I like USCIS Ombudsman's office? This is an office that has been created. I think it's been like 5-6 years, maybe 7 years. Created to watch over USCIS working. And they liaison with the USCIS, and they try to resolve difficulties experienced by people.
Yeah.
At the end of each year, they release a report to Congress about USCIS fault points, and they also add their suggestions for improvement. So it helps, and many times when nothing else works, Ombudsman's office can come through.
So if for this person, they could open a case saying that, hey, I've been waiting.
Yeah, because litigation is so expensive.
Yeah,
I would litigate. Litigation is so expensive, and it can take time, and sometimes it can still be useless.
Yeah. Okay. I have used 8 months of CPT during my master's in 2022. Now I'm planning a new day one CPT degree next year. Will there be any issues?
We don't know. Once Trump comes, we'll know in a few months where we stand. We don't know. Sorry.
Okay. My L1 to H1B change of status was approved on January 8th, and I received the notice on January 13th. The status change to case is being actively reviewed by USCIS. Could you please clarify what it is?
Exactly what it says. The case is being actively reviewed. So when they say actively, I always get this feeling of a USCIS officer laying back in a hammock, glasses on, shades on, tall drink, umbrella on top. I'm actively reviewing your case. In about 8 months, I'll decide. And the file is right next to them. That is what I see as actively reviewing.
But what about the change of status was approved on January 8th, and then they received the notice? So is that an error?
If we just looked at the actively reviewing part, that's what it means. But if it's already approved, do you have an approval in hand? Okay. You've received the approval notice. Did it come with an I-94? If it did, this is just a mistake. You can contact the USC. I know their technology is so bad. It's horrible. But then again, remember Obamacare? When they first started Obamacare, the website used to crash 20 times a day simply because they couldn't take the load. So this is a first world country, and we had, So I remember
we are known for tech as well. So
sorry,
we are known for tech as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But I do like USCIS website in general. I think
very good.
Yeah.
Their policy manual is excellent. I won't say that I like the website, but they've done a pretty good job for presenting such a large amount of information. Try ECFR. Try the Code of Federal Regulation. Wow, great job. We used to pay so much money to get Code of Federal Regulations. I've never used anything except ECFR. Same for Federal Register. They are excellent sites. They've done a great job. Information management, information presentation, the features, you can bookmark things, you can have an account. Very nice. But technology still sucks.
Yeah.
I don't think there's enough QA. I had a problem yesterday on my LinkedIn. somebody was saying, totally in panic, I'm trying to submit my change to B1, B2. Rajiv, it's not working. What should I do? I said, just be patient. It's just what it shows me is that just the message that was coming is it said your case didn't go through. Please try again. So it's almost like they had some kind of system glitch. My guess would be they had too much of a load and they were not ready for it. Their servers were overloaded. And then it throws those kind of errors. So then today he wrote back to me saying, oh, it went through.
Yeah. Same for OPTs as well. Like people have to upload the photo and for some reason it would just not take the photo. They tried like 25 times and then next day it just worked.
Yuri, I had a client, very smart young woman, just yesterday. She was so frustrated trying to help her parents with their green card application. Just trying to schedule biometrics in India. Okay. Finally, she wrote me an email saying, and she said, she's a techie, right? Very smart person. I've been trying for the last 1.5 hours. I'm at my wit's end. Can you help? So I said, okay, let's just go on screen together and you share your screen with me. Let me see what's going on. I've never done this before, but of course I want to help. She's one of our clients. So I was looking it over and I said, you know what? 35 years of immigration law, I still don't know what they mean. They had these choices in the drop down. And I just kept saying, look, forget about everything you've done. We're going to start from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And when we started from the very beginning, I found what the problem was. Because there are dependencies. If you choose X, you get option 1 and 2. If you choose Y, you get options 4 and 5. So if your dependencies are not properly set up, why should it be so difficult? It really doesn't have to be.
It's like they're still using relational database.
Well, relational databases is okay. I have no problem with relational databases. Or relational or non-SQL, NoSQL databases. That doesn't matter. It's not the repository that's the problem.
Logic. I mean, I'm assuming.
It's the UI, UX that is the problem.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So, and again, I don't want to say that they are not trying, but they're not succeeding. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I don't want to discourage the trying.
Yes. All right. I have previously visited to Iraq and Iran for religious purposes. Will it affect my visa immigration?
So many Rizvis are Iranians. So I don't know if you're Iranian, Farhan. But just having visited Iraq and Iran, I don't know. Depends upon how much time you spent. And if you are on any of the lookout lists. I mean, thousands of people go to Iraq and Iran. Maybe not so much to Iran, but Iraq, surely. I don't know. I can't tell you how it's going to work out.
Yeah.
But I don't think it should.
Yeah. Okay. Do you suspect any major changes to H4 EAD by upcoming changes?
Well, that depends upon who convinces whom of what. So there is an old saying, if you don't want to turn cynical, never go and see how sausages and laws are made. Laws are made in ways that will blow your mind. It's ridiculous, but still the system kind of sort of works. And I think H4 EAD, CPT, maybe even STEM OPT. STEM OPT is the last one. But even H4 EAD, if you wanted to change it, it's a part of the regulations. You can't just take it away.
Do it with
So
the policy.
CPT. CPT is a part of the regulations. Okay, so to deregulate something requires a lot more effort than just a policy change. So everybody on CPT, OPT, STEM OPT, H4 EAD, they should know that they'll have some notice. It won't happen overnight.
Yeah. Okay, I got counselor H1 from X company, but I am working with Y company on STEM OPT. Can I file new H1 from Y company?
You mean go for the lottery again? Yeah, you can.
Okay. I came to USA on H4 when I was 12 years old. Unfortunate due to visa backlog, I aged out. Currently on STEM OPD. Will anything be done for documented dreamers under Trump?
I don't know, Akarji. I hope so, because um, I was invited to a gathering with one of the senators. I forgot his name. Uh, Tall guy, like 6 feet 7 inches tall, who was he was earlier a owner of a tech company, and he sold and then went into politics. Smart guy, Democrat, very well informed, and I could see that he was really moved because a lot of people, legal dreamers, were in attendance in that meeting. That was primarily the focus of the meeting. And he asked me, one of the questions he asked me under Trump, this was during Trump time. He said, what is the biggest difference you have seen in your H1B processing? I said, well, I can't, we don't have enough time. I need about 2 hours of your time to explain all that to you. But if I can explain the symptom and you can derive the disease from there, think about it this way. My H1B filings have become so large that I had to actually upgrade the software for the whole team. Because we used to have 20-page H1Bs, now we have 2,000-page H1Bs. So if you can derive the disease from the symptom, here is the symptom. Now you tell me, is this a big difference or what?
Okay. I've applied for EAD just after graduation. I've been hearing rumors that new government will likely delay the approval process.
Delay they can. That is one of the things they did before, but then they will get sued. Because if you have delays as a policy, that's going to get challenged judicially. Occasional delay, 1 or 2 here and there, can be understandable. But if you have delay as a policy without sufficient legal ground for it, you're going to get sued. Like us, everybody's getting ready to sue this government time and time again.
Can H1 be renewed in USA? I think we
If
keep
you
getting
mean visa, the answer is no.
Okay. What if EB2 national interest waiver is approved? Can I travel with my F1 visa, which will expire in next year?
Under the Biden administration, I think so. Under the Trump administration, I'll be very careful. Because Biden actually put a few sentences in the State Department standard operating procedures that just because somebody has an I-140 approved, don't deny their F1, or because they don't have a firm plan of what they are going to do with their future, don't deny their F1. Because students are still thinking about their careers. Would Trump feel the same way? I do not know. So I would hold my breath and wait and see what happens.
Here a follow-up. If my EAD on STEM OPT is expiring next year, to maintain my session, can I do day 1 CPD?
To maintain your status, no. But if you actually want to go to school and enhance your education, yes.
Okay. My H1B, H4, and H4 EAD valid till February end. Filed H1B and H4 extension in a normal and filed EAD extension. After Feb, is H4 EAD eligible to work when H1B and H4 extension are pending for approval?
My H1B, H4, and H4 EAD valid till Feb end. How can that be? You can't have both H1B and H4.
I think he's
So I guess what you mean is your H1B is valid and your wife, I guess, wife's H4 and H4 EAD is valid till Feb. Filed H1B and H4 extension in normal, filed EAD extension. After Feb, is H4 EAD eligible to work? No. So the way this is set up is, as I remember, the law is you can get an H4 EAD extension only to the extent of your EAD, of your I-94. So if your I-94 is expiring in February, then you will not be able to work beyond February on your H4 EAD extension pending. So in other words, extension of EAD cannot be more than your I-94.
My wife is on H4 visa. We got married recently and she's traveling on 30th January. Should I prepone her flight?
Why? Dhruvji, I don't see any reason for it.
Okay. Can dual intent of H1B visa will go away?
Sumiji, that's a part of the statute. That's not just in the regulations. That's a part of the statute. So they'll have to change the law from Congress. No. That's not going away.
Okay. I have EB1B approved. Should I also apply for EB1B if I want to quit
He
my...
may mean EB1A. So yeah, definitely, because EB1B doesn't get transferred from employer to employer. If you are qualified for an EB1A, certainly try it.
What's the difference between EB1A and EB1B?
EB1B is for a particular employer. It's a researcher or professor.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I'm currently employed with the county under post-completion OPT, which will expire on August 3rd, 2025. And my question is, if I have no employment days during my initial OPT till August 3rd, 2025, how many days am I allowed to be unemployed during STEM OPT period?
Isn't that 150? 90 from first year OPT and 60 from STEM OPT.
Yeah, so 60 in his case, because if he has no unemployment from his initial OPT, then...
I have no unemployment. That means he was always employed.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry.
That means he's got 150. So it's a double negative. That's what. See, you're like an English professor. You don't think, you don't. Your problem is you're too smart, Yudi.
Yes. How to start a career in US, LLB and LLM done from India, currently on F2. Am I eligible for bar exam in New York?
Rakeshji, every state in this country has different rules for bar admissions. Okay. So actually, I think American Bar Association publishes a chart which has the rules for all 50 states for foreign lawyers, foreign educated lawyers. Some states you'll be able to go and sit for the bar. But here's what I would recommend. I think I learned more about American law during my bar preparation than I did during 2 years of education in law school. So I would strongly recommend you take a bar preparation course. Those are very helpful.
And out of curiosity, do you have to give bar exam for all the states, or is it just like you give? Okay.
So the rules are so different. If you are a foreign graduate, normally what happens is, in many states, if you are not taking their exam, after 5 years of being licensed in another state, you might be able to waive into that other state. So you can waive from one state to other if the state allows it. Not all states allow. However, if you're a foreign lawyer, that may or may not be there. Okay, so I was licensed in Washington, D.C., but I waived into Virginia. Okay, so if I wanted to practice in Maryland, I would have to take a lawyer's exam. It's not the same exam as the rest of the bar people, if I remember correctly. I've not had the need to take the Maryland bar, because how many bars are you going to take? Then they have the continuing legal education rules. Then they have different ethics responsibilities. So it's crazy. DC has no continuing legal education. But in Virginia, I've got to do, I think, 12 hours of legal education every year.
Okay. Very interesting. Okay. Do I need to get an F1 visa stamping again if I get on day one CPT? Is it risky to go back to India and re-interview for day one CPT?
Definitely risky. I just got a call from somebody who got denied. They were on CPT. They got denied a visa stamp. But if you already have an existing visa stamp and that stamp is still valid, you can travel as long as you have maintained your, what is that called? Service status. So as long as you can discuss with your DSO before you leave. If your status is valid, you can use the same visa stamp. But could you have the same trouble at CBP? That's why I tell people, if you're going to do a curricular practical training, it should definitely have a goal of enhancing your career as well. It's okay to have the goal of getting employment authorization, but there should be a goal that you're also getting education that is useful to you. So if you have a computer science degree and then you get day one CPT in history, I don't know how far that goes unless you're changing careers. Plus, you can't work. If you have a history, then you have to work on probably CPT will have to be in history too. So,
is there any possibility of OPT, STEM OPT getting revoked? And when can we see Rajiv in different color shirt?
well, yeah, see, this is kind of interesting. I only have two color shirts. I have white and black.
Yep.
That's it.
Same. I have those two as my favorite colors as well.
It's just
so.
easiest.
But I guess his first question, possibility of getting revoked. I don't want to speak for it, but I know you kind of.
It's not going to get. See, it's in part of the regulations, no? When it's a part of the regulations, they have to publish a notice. That notice has to be open for public comment. Normally 60 days, they can cut it short to 30. And then it has to go through. First, it has to go through all sorts of approvals before it comes to this stage.
Yeah. And you said policy, regulation, stature, and then there was one more.
And constitution.
And constitution. Okay.
At the top of every country's system of laws, like India, UK, Pakistan, Bangladesh, every country, first there is the constitution. Below that are the statutes, the laws passed by your legislature. In India, it's called parliament. In UK, it's called parliament. Canada, it's called parliament. USA, it is called Congress. In India, Congress is a party. So that's where things get confusing. But laws are passed by your legislature. And below that are regulations. Regulations are the code for which statutes are the design. So statutes tell you, okay, you can do this and you can do that. And then regulations come in and say, this is how we are going to do this. They explain in detail. And below that is the easiest one, which is the policy. How are we going to implement and interpret these regulations?
Okay. I'm in 7th year of my H1B visa with an approved I-140 under the new H1B Entrepreneur Regulation. Can I establish a single member investment firm and trade using my own algo trading system?
Well, first of all, is trading your major? For example, is finance your major? That would be the first question, because even in H1B, that is for your own company, 51% of your work should be in your own area. So you can be 49% manager, but 51% you have to be, let's say if you're a technical person, a techie. So if you say, I want to open a software company, but I want to sell shoes in that company. Well, if you want to sell shoes, what does that have to do with your degree? It's still an H1B. H1B has to be related to your training, right?
So even under this new law, or new guidance,
no, it is the new regulations.
Regulations, yes, where entrepreneurs can file their own H1B, having majority of the stock. Their responsibility still needs to tie back to the education.
51% of them, majority of them.
Okay.
Well, it's another farce created by law, but then laws also have to be written down. I was trained as a legislative drafter, how to write laws. Okay. So from the drafter's perspective, it's very difficult to pin down certain things. If you say majority of your work should be as a techie, if you're doing an H1B for your own company, well, how do you define the majority? It's 51%, but can anybody measure 51%? It's just an impossible determination. So I would say 51% is probably not enough, maybe 60%. Most of your work is in.
Yeah.
Maybe 60 is better.
Yeah. He's saying he's software engineer, but he writes algorithms.
If you can justify, Idrisji, that your work is still what you're doing is still primarily an application of you're developing algorithms. But what you're trying, I can establish a single member investment firm and trade using my own algorithms. So writing the algorithm is okay, but is training okay? Think about it. Writing is okay, but is trading okay? Because that's not software. However, what if you offered software as a service and you develop the platform and you charge people for using that platform and maintain that platform? I think that can be done because that's software. But the trading part is not software. At least I would have difficulty justifying that. And as we go forward, these things will develop. These principles will develop more and more, and we'll know better.
Yeah.
So automated system for your use, for use of public. If you are using that to do trades, I don't know. However, also remember your company and you are different people. Can you be a client of your own company? Probably.
Interesting.
But I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to go for visa stamping with that fact pack because consulates don't care about all these finer points. They'll just say denied.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
go figure this out. So hopefully this will be fleshed out better.
Okay. I'm currently on O1. Should I move to H1B for being a founder? As O1, you can't own the company.
Actually, there was a recent 2 days ago. Today, government changed some of the interpretations of NIW, National Interest Waiver. Last week, I think, it was last week, they changed some of the interpretations of O1 also. If you look in the policy manual, I think you can be hired by yourself, if I remember correctly. So even on O1, you can own a majority stock in your own company and yet be an employee.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've kind of answered this, but how safe is it to travel after January 24 H1B visa?
I don't have a scale for it. 32 kilograms.
I've filed for U visa with
Ombudsman.
but no
Yeah,
results.
but you weren't. Did he say Himanish? Himanush. I thought it was Himanshu. Okay. Lakshmanji, there is I remember looking at a series of lawsuits against the government on U visa delays. So it's a systemic issue. Ombudsman cannot correct a systemic issue. If it's a 1 or 2 cases with problems, they can try to fix those. Systemic issues, they can just report to Congress.
Is it okay if I stay in India for over 2 months? I'm working for a US company remotely from India. I am an F1 student on OPD. Will there be any issue when coming back to US? Extra stay, reason surgery.
Okay, so here is the weirdness on this. Somebody on LinkedIn asked me the same question. I told them to join one of our conferences, and maybe it's the same person. And if you are, hi. So here is the explanation. It's not certain. Okay. If you ask the DSOs in schools, they'll say working remotely is allowed. I would say don't be so sure. Why? Because during the COVID emergency and COVID period, government had made an accommodation that you could work remotely as long as you could be supervised. For example, if you are working in India and the company has an office in India that is supervising you. But then a year or 2 ago, whenever the COVID time was lifted, we went back to the old times. In the old times, I'm not sure you could work remotely outside the country. You can within the US. But can you do it outside USA? I have my doubts. Okay. But if you ask the DSOs, some of them will say yes, and some of them will say, we don't know. I am with the we don't know school because we really don't have a definitive answer from the government on this issue.
Okay. Here in USA, first name is given name, but Indian passport, given name is the combination of first name and middle name. Do you think this may cause issue in I-797 is referring to first name as a given name only?
No, I don't think these are minor issues. They are all resolvable. I wouldn't worry about it. And I don't remember my own passport, but I think I had first name, middle initial, and last name on my Indian passport also.
Same. I still have that same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Okay. My H1B got approved last November, but my employer is not sharing my H1B approval notice to me. What can I do to get the H1B receipt notice? I got another job and I want to move to the new company.
So it's a very difficult question to answer. If you really want to get tough about it, I would file a police complaint saying they're holding on to my I-94. So you remember, you may not be entitled to your approval notice copy, but you're entitled to the I-94, which is at the bottom of the approval notice. That's your property. Okay, number one. Number two, you're also entitled to a copy of the LCA. Each employer has to give you a copy of the LCA that they filed for your case. So those two things you're entitled to. What if I file a police complaint saying they're holding my documents? I need my LCA, I need my I-94.
Could they fire? Like, I mean, I don't know what happens, but I guess
They can fire you, of course, if you file a police complaint. But is that firing justifiable? Because there is some protection against people who go to the government in some cases. For example, if you file a Department of Labor complaint. So if you wanted to be even more sure about this, I would file a DOL complaint. They can't fire you. That's called retaliation. That's not allowed. So I have to look at the law in greater detail, but these are the tracks of inquiry that you can follow further.
What's going to happen to fake profiles and fake managers who come from India with L1 and H1B visa?
I don't know of any, because if I knew it, I wouldn't file the case. Most companies that we work with, at least every company that I've worked with, they give us a profile that is correct. And not only that, I even ask for example, if somebody says they're a manager, I say that I want to see your emails, etc., over the past 2-3 years that show that you are acting as a manager. That's a part of our evidence package. But what happens to people who are faking it? Every system has corrupt people. Every system has. I think the penalties should be really severe for people. They are. I mean, if you get caught in a lie, you can never come back to the US. It's a permanent bar.
Yeah.
Okay. So they should do something like that for the companies as well. Companies that have tried to misuse the system.
Yeah.
They should throw the book at these companies.
Yeah. I had my H1B approved under consular process in December 2023, went to India in June 2024, came back on STEM OPT. Do I face any issue in USA when I amend for change of status, as I didn't get stamping in India?
Yeah, so I've mentioned this before. When you delay your stamping, there's always a possibility. Now, this is a policy issue. There's no law on this. So they can actually say, remember I said there was a 2023 case in which some of the interpretations were changed and some observations were made in those cases, which makes me doubt these delayed change of status cases. So I think there's always a possibility of trouble. But so far, people are getting change of status. Hopefully, you will go through, but it's not a good way to go.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Okay, last two question. My H1B is expired in December 2024. My current employer filed for an extension under regular processing 2 months ago. I now want to join employer B. Can employer B transfer H1B for me in this situation?
My H1B is expired, so extension is pending. Yeah, they can do a transfer and an extension. The only problem is because your earlier H1B expired, So if they approve it and the extension is still pending, they'll ask you to go get a visa stamp, which is not a big deal, which is fine.
Yep. Okay. Last question. As per the latest regulation, can I start my own company earning revenue profit and also continue with my current employer on H1B?
Sure. By the way, the Negis are very interesting people. Himachal Pradesh, right? I spent a lot of time in Himachal, hiking through the mountains. So Negis are very interesting people. Many of my friends were Negis. So Negi Saab, hello from the mountains. So yes, you can start your own company.
So it would have to be concurrent H1Bs or like what?
Exactly. They'll have to file a concurrent H1B. Before we hang up, again, I want to remind people, you keep sending me requests for LinkedIn connection. And I keep saying, please, please, please verify your identity. I cannot connect with people whose identities I can't verify. Sometimes if I have time and you have not a verified account, but I know 35 people we have common friends, common acquaintances, I might accept. But please respect my time and just get your identity verified. It's good for you also. Yeah. What do you think, Mr. LinkedIn specialist?
100% agreed. And also add a note, because people are so lazy. They just want to hit connect. So always add a note. It's a free thing that you can do to add context to why you want to connect. So anyway.
One more thing I want to point out. Tomorrow we are meeting again, right?
Yes. Yep. That's what I want.
And tomorrow time will be 12:30 my time, 9:30 Pacific time.
Yeah, so your time as in Eastern time for Eastern people time. Who might not know.
My time. I have taken over Eastern Seaboard.
Yes, we will meet tomorrow. So I know there were a bunch of questions who we could not.
So not to worry. Tomorrow 12:30 p.m. my time and 3:30 UD's time.
9:30. 3:30 nahi 9:30.
9:30. Sorry.
10:30 a.m. California time, 12:30 New York time, Eastern time.
Yeah, and sounds good. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay.
Yep. Talk to you guys tomorrow.
Bye, guys. Bye, everyone.
Hold on. Don't leave.
I have to hold on. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Bye.